All right, folks. Go no background music because the only way to really do this movie justice would be to play the score in the background. But I know for a fact I would get copyright struck and I would lose the audio. Um, this movie, this movie was so fucking cool, and I know that that's not that's not giving analysis. That's not really a review. And there's so much more to get into it, but it was just so fucking cool. Like everything about this movie, the writing was so cool. The way the characters spoke to each other, the dialect that they use, the way, you know, what was spoken and what was shown was so well executed. The look of this movie was so cool. This movie was shot so beautifully. The lighting was fantastic. I didn't even get a chance to see it in IMAX, which Kat, I will go watch it again because I want to see it in IMAX because the aspect ratio stuff, everyone keeps talking about it, and my theater didn't do anything with that. Um, but the way the production design, the lighting cues, everything about that was so cool. Some of the surrealism that they leaned into was cool. The characters are incredible. Every single character in this movie, even the ones that have the smallest little component in the like it, to contribute so effortlessly and so well. Like every single character in this movie does their job incredibly well. That's not to get into the music of this movie is like all time. Ludwig is generational talent. I know I have titled the stream as Ryan Coogler is a goat, and I think that that's still true. But Ludwig is the goat as well. Um, the music and the way the music ties into the film and the artistry surrounding was so great. Oh gosh, I could go on and on and on. Mostly the story was just so interesting. The first half of this movie, such good work in setting everything up. And then as soon as you get into the promise of the premise and you can start playing, it's so fun and scary and terrifying. And there's some really cool things that happen in this movie that I will get into soon, but not quite yet. Um, this movie is incredible. This is already in contention for one of the best movies of the year, and it's only April. And I know we have so many cool things coming up. There's so many promising things coming up soon. It's going to be hard to beat this movie. This movie was an absolute blast. I saw it in a completely packed theater Sunday night, and people were hooting and hollering and having a great time with it. It was incredible. There's maybe once a year a movie that you see that like goes like, oh yeah, this is why I love movies. It's like it just does it all right. You're gonna go tomorrow, bro. Please do, because every day you don't watch this movie, you have an opportunity where someone else might ruin something for it for you. And even watching this trailer on loop, I'm like, oh no, don't show that moment. Oh, don't show that moment. Um, and Miles, that is an excellent point. That it coming out this early might hurt its chances in award season. Might I offer you something that ruined my Oscars predictions? Dune Part 2, which swept at a lot of the technical categories as a December release compared to this, which is an April release. So there's a possibility, but I think that this movie has a lot writing for it that's really going to help it in the awards conversation, which this movie will be in the awards conversation. Original screenplay, original score, um, cinematography. This is the only movie coming out this year that was filmed on IMAX camera and Panavision 70 millimeter. So that it's got that going for it. Not to mention, I had it pulled up, but I'm not. I had it pulled up, but I decided not to watch the 10-minute video. But the 10-minute explainer video that Ryan Coogler did explaining how IMAX works, like, if that's not an Oscars campaign in and of itself for best cinematography, this movie is incredible. Okay, I'm gonna talk spoilers for a little bit. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do you a favor. I'm switching my scenes. So you see, chat's not gonna be on screen, I think. Someone type in chat. I want to make sure. Might be wrong. But you don't see my cool little color overlay. I don't think you're gonna see chat on screen. So this is your spoiler warning. Perfect. Okay. Chat's not on screen. You're not seeing my colors. Mute this. If you haven't seen the movie, mute this until you see everything else come back. Okay? You got it? Okay, cool. Holy shit. The first half of this movie does such an incredible job at building this world of characters and history. And you're like, yeah, this is like 1930s Southern America. And this is like everything that's beautiful about like this turn of the century black culture that's starting to come together. And you get the bits and pieces of like the but this is and that, you know, they talk about Jim Crow and they talk about the segregation, and there's the scene of the daughter when she's crossing from like the black side of the shopping district to the white side, and how everything looks different and the people all act different, and you're like, oh my god, it's like literally the opposite side of the street, but it feels like we went to a completely different world. Like, so many little moments like that are like showing you all the love and community and culture within this like awful time period that's like beginning to have a shift. I love that so much. That was like such a surprise, and I didn't think it would be as much of the movie as it was. But then when we get into the vampire crazy shit, and we get into the song that one take where it transitions and you see past and future for every single character, and you have different components of like postmodern like hip hop music, and you get different sorts of African tribal depending on who like the character of focus is, because they have different backgrounds, and you get the Chinese background image. And then we're just fully in a completely different movie, and it's absolutely incredible. Oh man, like that is cinema. That is the language of film, and it's just so refreshing to watch a movie that gives you the opportunity to like fall into this real world that you're like, this is the world that we live in, and this is the world that we were in, and so many things that were true then are true now. And small moments of like relationships and brotherhood and exes and love, all these things feel so real and so tied down to earth. And then the film just gives you permission to lose yourself in this scene here and lose yourself into the magic of filmmaking, and you're like, okay, we're in. We're there. And that was so fucking cool. Haley Steinfeld, incredible. Incredible in this movie. Michael B. Jordan, incredible times two. So good. The post-credits scene, so good. The villain, Jack O'Connor, I think, plays the villain. So good, so compelling. There is so much to say, and we even talked about this lightly with Blade about the allegory of vampirism to like the experience of people of color. And there's just so many things that this movie does so excellently well in telling that story, from moments like this scene here where the Irishman, is tying himself into this white nationalist crowd, and they're like even not fully embracing him. The natives being the ones who like can really tell what's going on, but also know to back off and take care of themselves. The fact, and I've seen other people talking about this, and I think it's an incredibly really good nuanced take to have, but like the fact that like the Chinese character is the one who ultimately lets the vampires in and creates the opportunity for that conflict to go crazy, and how that ties into like how certain different types of people of color attach themselves to the black experience until it they have an opportunity to be selfish and it benefits them. Look, ultimately, I don't think I'm the one to speak to a lot of the different components and a lot of the different experiences of black community, and the sort of the sacrifice that has to be made in order to assimilate into the greater the greater society, and especially American society and everything like that. Okay, I'm glad you saw some of that too, because I only saw a little bit of that like late today, and so I'm like, okay, this part of the conversation is just starting to get rolling. And yeah, talking about like the weaponization of your uh BIPOCness against the black community, I think it's a really interesting take, and I really wonder how intentional that was. I imagine it was very intentional. Um, but it's just so freaking layered, and they made this movie so quickly, which is why I really wonder. Um, all of that to say, as an immigrant, as a Venezuelan Hispanic person who immigrated to this country, to the United States, and I have assimilated into this culture at the detriment of my original culture, I can relate to a lot of different components of this film. Specifically, like I even understood the vampire's perspective, right? Like I even understood the Irish vampire's perspective of like, they're never going to accept you, but here in this like sick and twisted, violent, sort of vitriolic ideology that I've given myself into, like there's community here, but like it's hate, and it's like, if you give yourself into this hatred and demonic evil, like there's community with all of us, and we all live here, and we're immortal here. And I can relate to that experience, and I can relate and understand that, and I think that's what makes him so fascinating as a villain, that you can go, oh shit, yeah, I kind of see where you're coming from. Like you were wronged. Like you were an Irishman at the turn of the prior century, so you were treated as other. And you're seeing some of yourself in, a post-slavery America, and a current Jim Crow America. Like it's, yeah, it's so layered. It's so freaking layered. So I think this movie needs a rewatch. I'm very much looking forward to rewatching it. I strongly encourage you to seek out some black content creators and have them speak to their experience to this movie, because I think their experience will be a little bit truer to what the intent of the filmmakers were. Um, from my perspective, as an immigrant, as a film lover, as somebody who empathizes a lot with this community and this culture, I think it's an incredible piece of art. I think it is an extremely effective tool for introducing the subject matter. I think it's incredibly entertaining. And it is, and I'll switch it back, so fucking cool. So fucking cool. All right, safe. Spoilers are done. Spoilers are done. Guys, type it in chat so everyone knows. We're done talking about spoilers. Um, all in all, this is one to go see. This is one to go see in theaters. Thank you. It's safe. We're all safe here. And Chad, I'm gonna need you to honor that. Um, for real though, I can't wait to go see this again. What do I rate it out of 10? Oh, this is hard. I got back into Letterboxd recently, and it's so hard to force myself to give it ratings. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd, so I think that translates to a 9, and I think that's fair. I think a 10 look. See, I have different levels of rating. Like, this is a 10 out of 10 recommend, right? Like, this is a 10 out of 10, like 100% you should see this movie. I think everybody should see this movie. I know that not everyone will. I think everyone should. Do I think it is a perfect film? No. I think that there's certain beats that didn't work for me that I was able to kind of let go, able to kind of give it a pass because so much of the rest of the film was successful. There is one action sequence, and we're not talking about spoilers. There's one action sequence that was really hard to follow what was happening. And it was not because of the twins. It was because of everything else that was happening. And I was like, oh, I keep getting pulled out of the movie because like the way this is playing out is confusing and it's pulling me out of the drama and the tension of the moment. And there's some repetitiveness in the film that I think kind of plays into the tropes and everything like that. So there's some things about it that aren't perfect, which is why I won't give it a 10 out of 10. But it's a 9 out of 10. It's a 9. Valid. Okay, thank you. What would you give it out of 10? I saw, Miles, you gave it a 4 out of 5, so I'm magically turning that into an 8 out of 10. But curious what y'all think, having seen it. Is it a 10 out of 10 for you? Which I wouldn't blame you if it was. It's a pretty good movie. I never have a shot with. There it is. What do y'all think? 10 out of 10? 8.5 out of 10. All right. So we're all in the same general ballpark. This is undoubtedly Ryan Coogler's best film. I think we can all agree, right? Like, I love Creed. I love Black Panther. I like Wakanda Forever. But this is his best film, by far. By far. And I think that if he stays on this track, like, GOAT status for sure. His next project is X-Files TV show, which is fun. And then following that will probably be the third installment of the Black Panther franchise. But honestly, I kind of want to see what he does next. Because on top of an incredible filmmaker, he's an incredibly smart businessman. This article came out from Vulture. I vehemently disagree with the title. It is not the end of the studio system. This is a really fascinating article. I did have to use 12-foot ladder to get past the paywall on it. But Ryan Coogler did some really cool stuff to get this movie made, and basically it kind of got revealed that his deal, in order for this film to get through, he shopped the film around to Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers was like, yes, we want this movie, and we want this movie now, and we want this movie as fast as possible. So production for this movie was a year turnaround. Essentially, they shot it and put it out fairly quickly. Ryan Coogler receives first dollar on this film, so rather than getting paid out once the film is in the black and is in breaking even range, he starts getting paid immediately, which given the box office momentum this movie has just coming off the first week, is really good for him. That's a very rare deal to get these days. He retains the rights of this movie after 25 years, which means that it won't be owned by Warner Brothers. It'll go back to him. So any additional remasters or republishings or special editions, he will have the full ability to do by himself. So many different things like that really, this article kind of frames it as, could be the end of the studio system. I think the better way to think about this is, I think, the post-strike mentality of artists kind of democratizing the industry a little bit better and going like, you need us, we don't need you. Because Ryan Coogler can take this film anywhere. And Warner Brothers just happened to be the ones who signed the check, but any studio would have and could have made this movie. You need the artists to create these successes for you. It's not the other way around. So is that the end of the studio system? Not necessarily. I think it is a, what's the term? It's a leveling out of the studio system. It's a course correction of the studio system, because post streaming and post all these different, the death of the movie star and the rise of the IP and all these other different things that are happening in Hollywood and in the entertainment system in general, this is the step in the right direction that we need to see. And ultimately, it's better for audiences, it's better for filmmakers, and surprise, that will be better for the studios too. Because when you're outputting better stuff, it's going to go well for you. He absolutely loves Michael B. Jordan, and Michael's going to be in every single movie that Ryan Coogler ever makes, and I think that's totally fine. And he should be, because they work really great together. I did see an interview Michael did talking Michael B. Jordan's such a, he's my buddy. Mike did an interview talking about like, well, what was it like getting back working with Ryan after you having directed for a bit? And it was so funny because he was like, yeah, like it just, I think it introduced some more shorthand into our language, but like he still runs the show. Basically being like, I learned a lot and it was great, and I kind of understood some of the things he was saying better, but like it didn't change the relationship at all because they just have such a good working relationship. Which is great. I think Michael B. Jordan, I don't think this is his best performance, but he did an incredible job. He was believable as the two different twins. And it wasn't nearly as distracting as I thought it was going to. Now, speaking of articles, we need to talk about what happened with this original Variety article, which, try and find it now because I couldn't. But Variety, which, folks, Variety is a really well-established trade and a really well-validated and reliable source. But the amount of, like, just out-of-pocket bias and out-of-pocket, like, negativity spinning that Variety does sometimes is so confusing. We were talking about the Marvels earlier. Variety loved spinning the Marvels as, like, a huge failure and loved spinning so much negativity towards Nia DaCosta. And it happened with Rachel Zegler as well regarding Snow White, how much Variety was spinning it against Rachel Zegler. And now this article, Sinners is a box office success with a big asterisk, which I know they're going to be reusing that same title for the Thunderbolts, except it'll be cute when they do it there. And like, look, once, twice, 3 times, we're seeing a pattern here, and I think it's extremely telling and extremely weird how Variety seems to have a bias towards women and BIPOC people and BIPOC filmmakers and scapegoating them as signs of bad things to come. And I don't know why. I know Variety is the hater energy is astronomical, but like it's specifically the hater energy towards these groups that don't like, fuck man, they get it everywhere. Like, why is Variety, a well-respected trade, going after all these different groups? Is it rage bait? Maybe. But you're Variety. You don't need to rage bait. You know what I mean? Like, you're a trusted source. There's like executives in the industry that like their morning routine is Hollywood Reporter, Variety, Entertainment Weekly. Like, it's not, you don't need this. And so this person, Franklin Leonard, they're also a film producer. You know, they pointed out the fact that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood had a very similar budget, very similar distribution, and but basically very similar things altogether for it. But they go, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a box office hit. Sinners is a box office success. Maybe. It's a long way off profitability. What? Why? Why bring this up? Even trusted sources need rage bait views reviews. I think that's a fair perspective to take, but I think it's just so unnecessary, especially because Variety hosts like actors on actors, right? Like Variety positions themselves as the entertainment reporter that like gets you and is for artists and is for filmmakers. So to position themselves on this stance and stances that they have, you know, just being like this rage bait, like pessimistic, nihilistic view on what success means and who is to blame for things going wrong, like it's so unsettling and so disappointing. And Variety's always so quick to like blame women, blame people of color, blame anyone except the correctly responsible party. Agreeing with Ben Stiller. Yeah, what was Ben Stiller's tweet? I did see it, but I haven't retained it all the way. Also, wait, what's your beef with Ben Stiller? In what universe does $60 million opening for an original studio movie warrant this headline? 100%. Oh, I even liked it. But folks, I'm going to start wrapping it up here. We've been going for just about 2.5 hours here. Remember, we try and go live at 8:30s on Mondays. If you get here sooner, you can catch me not knowing how my own freaking microphone works. We try and reserve Mondays for movie news. We're gonna get back on our Mondays. You know, last time I chatted, I was like, oh, we're gonna do bi-weekly streams, but then I took vacation and all this stuff. But I always love hanging out. If you ever want to be more up to date with my thoughts and what's going on, please follow me on Twitter. It's at JupyGorg there. I am on Blue Sky, but I don't open that app as much as I should. And if you ever want to know if we have a surprise stream, you'll always find me on Mondays. But if we have a surprise stream, find me on Instagram. That's the best way to know if I have a stream coming up. I always post on there letting y'all know. But in case you miss streams, the VODs always go right up. You can find me on YouTube. I'll sometimes post recaps there. But in either case, thank you so much for hanging out. We have Last of Us to catch up on. We have Andor coming up. So this might just become a TV-centric stream for a little bit because we got so much good stuff. Thanks again for watching, y'all. If you're not already following, make sure you follow. Tell your friends if they like movies and entertainment industry and want to learn a little bit more about behind the scenes or things like that, this is always a good place to be. I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your night. I hope you have an incredible week. I will see you all next time. Take it easy.